Hello, everyone. It's Monika Polemikos here, clinical hypnotherapist and anxiety relief specialist, and host at the Good Therapist. And I'm joined today by Ernest McLeod, who is the hypno coach, and he's going to be speaking to us today about a very successful program that he's offering and has been running for smoking cessation. So I know myself, Ernest, that smoking cessation has been one of those areas that has made me feel very uncomfortable as a practitioner. So I'm really happy to share with everyone that there is a course available to help with that. So Ernest, thanks for joining in today, and please, I'd love to hear more about this course that you have on offer.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Monika. Look, so Monika, can I actually ask you why does smoking cessation make you feel uncomfortable? What about it is it?
Yeah. So for me, because I've never been like a full-time smoker, so there's an element of I'm not really sure how they feel, or is this working? And also it's an area for me that I haven't really connected with as well as a practitioner. So, I do work in the anxiety space and the trauma and depression space, and particularly working with people who experience stress and anxiety. There actually is a need to know and to deliver that smoking cessation component to the therapy. But it's like when we get there, my motivation kind of goes, oh, so, right? It's kind of like plummets. And I think, possibly that could be due to not having a system, or having clarity in terms of what to actually do,
Mm.
what works, what is effective, or who to ask for that matter.
Yes.
So that's why, I'm, really happy that you've got a course out there to help folk like us with their questions and insecurities about delivering smoking cessation sessions.
Yes. Excellent. Thanks, Monika. Yeah. So, look, the interesting thing is that last year when I ran this workshop, I had a number of people participate who sort of commented that they were either very much on the fence about quit smoking, and
Mm,
they were doing the workshop because they really weren't sure if they wanted to do quit smoking for clients. And some even commented then that they really didn't see themselves as ever doing quit smoking, but having gone through the workshop with me, they actually saw how easy and simple it is to have a really structured process, and they were really sort of ready to delve into it, and that was really very encouraging for me, of course, to actually hear that feedback. So I think, look, you've probably touched on one of the very common reasons that therapists are not that keen on getting into smoking,
mm,
and that is actually having the process and understanding what is going on. Look, just like yourself, actually, I've never really been a full-time smoker. I remember in my in my teenage years, or maybe even prior to my teenage years, when the peer pressure sort of got hold of me, and I had a few smokes, and just coughed my lungs out every time. So
mm,
I luckily never pursued that. But having seen, hundreds and hundreds of clients over the years now, I've definitely got a good understanding what's going on inside of them.
mm,
And that is one of the things that I actually show in this workshop is emotionally what is going on, and how can we actually use what emotionally is going on in the smoker to really get them over the line. See, one of the things we need to just keep in mind when we see a smoker is it's just the belief that that they need someone to help them.
mm,
That's really all they need is someone to help them. It's not so much what we do. We could just, wave a magic wand, and if they believe that they're cured from smoking, they would stop. But
mm,
it's they feel like they are not strong enough themselves to quit, and they need somebody's help. And we have the magic. And we need to translate that into something that is a bit, I guess, makes sense. Because then when they leave and it's all made sense to them, then I guess in their mind they can go, okay, yeah, this all made sense. I can now walk out and I don't have to touch a smoke again.
Fantastic.
And
So
that's really what we
Ernest,
do as hypnotherapists.
so have you I just really want to hear about, some of your success stories. I'm thinking about, those clients who've come to you after having smoked for 10, 20, 30 years, have had multiple attempts at quitting and have been unsuccessful or only successful for a short period of time. Um, can you give us some feedback in terms of your own personal results using this same system that
Yeah.
you have in the course?
Sure, sure. And actually, maybe what I should do is also just add in there how I came to develop this system, because that's what I was noticing is people had tried, and maybe for 3 months or 2 months,
Mm,
couple of weeks, they were smoke free, and then they'd started again, and then maybe a few months later, or maybe even sometimes years later, they tried again and they came to see me, and I tried to figure out what was it that they're actually missing,
mm,
because they were successful, they stopped, but something was going on and they started again. They were looking for something. They were, in a way, missing something. And that's where this strategy, that is, I guess, a core part of my 3 steps, comes in, because that deals with what they were missing, but also a technique that allows them to build a, a behavior and a mental anchor so that they're going to be smoke free pretty much for the rest of their life.
mm.
So, yeah, it's that they've gone out and they had maybe 95% of what they needed, but something was missing, that
Yeah.
they went back and picked it up again. And if I were to break down the structure of my session, I spend most of the time around the strategy, because it does a number of things for them. I'm getting them to a point where they can actually believe that they can be smoke free,
Mm.
but we're also creating this little technique that is going to stick in their mind, which is going to help them be smoke free long term.
I think there's nothing worse than, someone coming to you, and I've had this, hand on heart, I've had this happen to me too, where I've done the smoking cessation, I've done the techniques and things, and yet they've continued to smoke, or, they've been, um, hanging out and, intense cravings, and then to get that relief, they've just picked up again.
Mm.
So I think there's nothing worse as a therapist going, oh, geez, have I done enough here, or it didn't work, or whatever. So, um, yeah. So, when you implemented this and when you noticed that, um, clients started to pick up smoking again, what was the key shift that you implemented? Was it the strategy that you say, or something else that then, had you to, got you to produce those kind of, smoke-free and permanent cessation, within the,
Yeah.
within the clients?
So look, probably need to go back a little bit to when I started. When I started, I just was using a very standard script for smoking cessation.
Mm,
And look, it worked more often than it didn't. One of the things I think that I just accepted is that I'm not going to get every single person to stop smoking at their first session. That's just not going to
mm,
happen. And I've noticed that is, I think, a big hang up that a lot of us therapists have, is that we have this fear of our client failing, and we're reflecting that back on us in a negative way, which I don't think we should.
mm.
I
I
think
think
we
you're
just have
right
to
there.
accept that we're not going to help 100%. Even if we're putting 100% in, it doesn't mean the client is putting 100% in. And
Yeah.
we know how often clients are not really completely honest, especially at the first session that they come in.
Mm.
They're holding back a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So, and look, I think it's just an acceptance of, hey, we're not going to have 100% hit rate. So getting back to when I started, my hit rate, I would say, probably was around about maybe 60%, okay, after the first session. And I structured it, I think, if I remember correctly, as 2 sessions plus they could have additional sessions if they felt they needed, with an incentive.
Yeah.
And but around about and I did that for about 4 years. And look, one of the reasons I decided actually on quit smoking was just because I found it really easy to market. It was back in, I guess, 2012. Quit smoking was already accepted that hypnotherapy actually is something that works for quit smoking.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just found it easy to market. They were my majority of clients. So overall, I actually was just looking through my client records. And overall, I think it was about 63% of my clients have been smokers. And the
Yeah,
rest has been
wow.
all other things. So I certainly have a bit of experience with smokers. Certainly not as much as some well-known therapists around who've seen thousands over their many years of practicing. But it gave me enough to seek out what was missing, and that's when I really started trying different things until I had developed this strategy and developed it in a very clear process that I was then using for several years before I got to the point where a comment just caused me to think, oh, actually, it's working for me. Why shouldn't I show other people something that's maybe a little bit different? Because I know a lot of therapists struggle with smoking. So in my workshop, I show the process and how simple it is, but I also show how I came to implementing what I've implemented. And I think that's probably a little benefit for therapists who attend, because we're going to take a bit of a look back at, I guess, the basics of hypnotherapy and the basics of what actually needs to be done for someone to change a behavior. So,
So, Ernest, who is this for then? Because obviously, both you and I are hypnotherapists. And is it purely for those who have a hypnotherapy, diploma or some sort of training in hypnosis?
yeah. So no, it is. I guess because I'm practicing hypnotherapy, it is initially aimed at hypnotherapists.
Yeah.
But the way I've laid out the workshop is, look, a GP or anybody could really come along. Maybe even nurse or counselor could come along and actually learn how to help someone to quit smoking. So
Fantastic.
it really includes the full process, even around, I show also, I guess, just how to run the business around that, how I sort of structure everything from the moment they contact me to how things finish off.
Beautiful.
Yes, but
Fantastic.
certainly anyone who's interested in helping people stop smoking, they could actually attend this workshop and they would know what to do.
And also what I'm hearing is that you could quite easily, as so many hypnotherapists do, but you could quite easily base your whole business around this quit smoking cessation.
Yes, yes. So I actually show exactly how I use it
Yeah,
within my
wonderful.
business and run, I guess, my quit smoking side of the business in its entirety. And I know some people who are in Australia who are actually quite successful, predominantly, actually even purely doing quit smoking. So
Yeah,
it certainly is possible. And I'll definitely be sharing quite a bit around the business side as well.
wonderful. So Ernest, could you tell us a little bit about the course in terms of maybe the steps, or give us a nice overview of people who attend this course. Will it be live with you in person? Will it be online, and how long? And what do we need to know here?
Sure, sure. So let me share the format with you to start with. So the way it's going to be is it's going to be over 6 weeks, starts next week, Monday, 1st of November. And so each beginning of the week, I will be sending out a lesson, by a pre-recorded lesson plus a handout. Then we've got 2 live calls scheduled each week. So we're going to have Tuesday, where for Australian time, it's going to be in the evening at 7 p.m. That way, people in the UK can join in because it'll be their morning. And then we also do a morning on Friday, which is 10 a.m. Sydney time. And that is about late afternoon for people in the US or part of the US. So I've tried to schedule it so we can, it can be reached by as many people as possible. So that's the 2 live calls. Now look, if somebody registers and can't attend a live call, they're not going to miss out because they'll get the recording of it. And of course, I'll be available to answer any questions. So that won't be a problem. But yeah, over those 6 weeks, we'll have 12 calls. And each week we're going to have, start off with some pre-recorded lessons and some handouts.
Excellent,
Yes.
excellent. So, what, overall, what are the incentives here in terms of, doing your course and using your method, system?
My system, sure. Look, I think the real incentive is that you're going to end up with a very clear and simple system that is easy to follow. If you take into consideration the comment of, I never saw myself doing quit smoking, but after doing your workshop, I'm now really on fire. Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah, so I think that's a big incentive, is that it's going to be really clear, easy to follow, and of course you'll have my support,
yeah.
And I didn't have anyone who post the workshop sort of came back and said, I really couldn't follow this, or I didn't understand and are totally confused. So I guess I pride myself in that I've made it very clear for people to follow. And I guess the bonus is also that, look, we're not just going to talk about the method, the process, but we're actually going to talk about how I actually build the business around that and how I support the customer, my customer, because that is what's going to help your business, is the way you're supporting your customer. Because even if it doesn't fail, it doesn't mean you've got a bad relationship with your customer or you have to feel bad about it. So I actually show how I would deal with someone who then comes back and says, look, I'm still smoking. Yes. So
And look, that's super important too, because you want to be going through and know how to troubleshoot, and
yes.
how to actually identify that, as well as how to effectively market yourself, and
Yep.
what to be saying, and how that conversation goes, because
Yes.
to be able to help people, it's not just to be good at what you're doing. You need to also be able to relate to what they're saying and demonstrate expertise in that area.
Yes.
So that's awesome, fantastic.
Thank
So
you.
so how long have people got to sign up for this, and what's the investment, and all
Sure.
the goodies?
Okay. Yes, of course. So look, I would recommend to sign up before the first, so that you're on board from the beginning. You don't have to play catch up, because that usually becomes a bit of a disincentive to continue. You sort of fall behind and leave yourself behind. So I would suggest, look, please register before the 1st of November. The
Beautiful.
cost is $297 Australian dollars, which I think is very affordable. And I'll
Absolutely.
actually explain how to easily make that back in a single session. Now, I also do have a 3 part payment plan available for those people that need a payment plan, so that's not a problem. But for those who sign up and pay in full, I do have a bonus, which is all of the recordings from last year. Plus, I did some interviews with some world-renowned hypnotherapists, and you'll get recordings
Lovely.
of those interviews as well. So,
Wonderful.
but everybody's going to get, look, the full process that I go through, the whole actually business process around that, and
Beautiful.
we're going to go into some really just some foundational things about how the mind and memories and plans work.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Ernest, for sharing this wonderful program with us. And I believe in you and your system.
Thank you.
And as a bonus, also, what I'm going to do is share a 90-day goal planner with everyone as well, for using the link below, just as my way of saying, thank you and good luck.
Oh, that's
So that's
excellent.
so that's there. That there it is there for you, and I'll send that send that through to anyone who signs up with the link below. So thank you so much, Ernest,
Sounds really
and
great.
best of luck to everyone who joins Ernest as well. I know that you will get a jam-packed course, and Ernest, you're also, very, very generous, with
Oh, thank you.
with your knowledge and time. So all the best to everyone, and yeah, and take care.
Thanks so much, Monica. Really a pleasure.
Wonderful. See you later.
Bye bye.